For more than 70 years in exile, Tibetans have continued to regard the Tibetan government in exile as their legitimate national institution, regardless of whether foreign governments officially recognize it or not. During these decades, Tibetans in exile successfully established democratic institutions, including the Tibetan Parliament, the Kashag, and the Supreme Justice Commission. The Election Commission, the Public Service Commission, and the Audit Commission were also established. Ministries responsible for religion, education, home affairs, foreign affairs, health, and finance were also created. Over time, the international public and media increasingly acknowledged this democratic system. In the political environment of the People's Republic of China, many authoritarian systems fear the growth of self-determination among minority peoples. Tibet's democratic development in exile, therefore, carries deep historical significance. It has preserved Tibetan political identity and laid the groundwork for the future restoration of Tibetan rights and freedom. The development of Tibetan democracy in exile can be understood in three stages. The first stage was the period of authoritarian democracy, from the 1960s to the 1990s. Shortly after arriving in India, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama introduced democratic reforms among Tibetan refugees. In 1960, representatives from the three traditional provinces of Tibet formed the first Tibetan parliament in exile. September 2nd later became known as Tibetan Democracy Day. This democratic system was introduced largely through the vision and determination of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Influenced by democratic India, Tibetan leaders also consulted constitutional experts as they built their institutions. Hereditary privilege was gradually replaced with merit-based public service, and both men and women were encouraged to participate equally in governance. In 1963, His Holiness promulgated the draft constitution for future Tibet, emphasizing equality, public responsibility, and political awareness. He believed democracy was not only about institutions, but also about educating people to think responsibly and independently. The second stage was the period of semi-authoritarian democracy from 1991 to 2000. In 1991, the Charter of Tibetans in Exile became the supreme legal framework of the exile administration. It guaranteed equality before the law and respected the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Independent institutions such as the Supreme Justice Commission and Election Commission were formally established, strengthening the rule of law and democratic governance. The third stage began in 2001 with direct electoral democracy. For the first time, the Khalin Tripa, or Prime Minister, was directly elected by the Tibetan people. This was a historic democratic breakthrough. His Holiness the Dalai Lama repeatedly emphasized that Tibetans must learn to rely on themselves and prepare for a future beyond dependence on a single leader. Direct elections strengthened democratic accountability and opened opportunities for new generations of leadership. The 14th Dalai Lama voluntarily relinquished his political authority in 2011. Despite exile and uncertainty, Tibetan democracy remains one of the world's most unique democratic experiments, preserving both Tibetan national identity and the hope for future freedom.